Welcome to the Old Fat Coach Podcast, featuring Russell Stutely, world leader pressure point fighting, national boxing coach, Cambodia, prepared to get not only your martial arts boxing world rocked, but your whole world too.
And here we are, joined with my good mate, Scott Bolan. Welcome,
Hello,
Scott.
brother. So glad to see you again. So glad to be here with your pressure point students. It's phenomenal information that you share. That like I say, all of life is war. Like Sun Tzu said, life is war, right? And so I say martial mastery because all of life really is martial arts. It's not just about punching and kicking. It's about intention and determination and focus. Like Bruce Lee said, the successful guy is the regular guy with laser focus, and that's exactly what you do with pressure points. It's not messy. It's right. It's precision. Boom. You nail the target. That's why I love what you do, because it just works.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you. And for those who don't know, not only is Scott a Hall of Fame martial artist, a very high renown. Not only that, he does a lot of this mind stuff that blows your mind. Now, I'm Mr. White Belt, chubby kid in the corner who doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to the mind stuff. Scott's like a grand master on that. Scott, would you mind just giving people, for those who don't know, a little bit more of an insight onto that side of thing? Because all my guys will know that you're a great martial artist anyway. But it's the other side that might be of a little bit more interest at the minute. I'm not sure, but
well, like that flattering term, mind stuff. I'm going to go see if the .com is available for mind stuff.
You know me, I can't think of the right things.
Well. Here's the thing. Life is war, and so we practice martial arts to develop the mind, body, and spirit, not just the body. Right? I mean, we must have that part. But if we don't have all three, then we're imbalanced, and we actually are in danger. If your mind isn't strong, you're in danger. If your body isn't strong, you're in danger. So we don't want to neglect any area of our self-development, of our self-improvement, of our self-preservation. It's the whole and complete package. We are a mind, body, and spirit human beings, and so we can. It is possible, though. I wouldn't say impossible because physical danger is a very real threat. But there are those who go through their whole lives without ever being physically attacked. Somehow they get lucky. But we are attacked every single day mentally by fake news, bureaucrats, politicians, nagging mother-in-laws, jealous fake friends, relatives. I mean, we're attacked mentally every single day. So being that all of life is war, I wanted to make sure that we covered the mental side as well. And most, say, karate schools or martial arts gyms just give kind of a cursory, be aware of grasshopper, right? So grasshopper walks out the door, goes around the corner and gets clobbered because sensei didn't tell grasshopper what awareness really is. And awareness is turning off the chatterbox of the mind. See, we're all caught in this brain boogie all the time. We're thinking about our bills, about what's in the news. We're constantly hyper-focused on sex. Well, no one is that. But so we've got all these 1,000 thoughts a second going through our mind in this chatter. Remember, the busy mind will miss the green light, the opportunity. It will also miss the red light, the warning. So had Sensei said to Grasshopper, be aware, and Grasshopper said, be aware, what does that mean? And Sensei said, turn off the chatterbox of the mind, quiet the mind. So when he walked out the door with a quiet mind, he would actually sense danger around the corner. And I'm serious. People say, well, that's esoteric. And no, it's actually not. They go, that doesn't work. I go, you're right, it doesn't work for you. Yeah. But for me, it absolutely does. I'll never forget, I was doing a seminar in Seattle. And I was staying in a hotel that had an underground parking lot. And I parked the rental car. I'm walking in the hotel and I sense danger. I just sense it. My mind is quiet. And around the corner comes a thug, a foot taller than me, a few feet thicker than me, tattooed tear, which usually means they killed someone. And he just came around the corner. And now that's actually a scary proposition. But rather than be a deer in the headlight and freeze. Instead, I just kind of smiled and looked through him, hey, and kept going. And so he's used to the fear response. And when he, like Pavlov's dogs, he's used to that response, and that's the response he wants. He'll come in on that, boom. But instead, I'm almost like in his face, hi. And he's not used to that. And he goes, what is this? And then I'm gone. See what I mean?
Yeah. It's that thing, isn't it, of that switching the state where they're used to, like you said, somebody flinching, somebody being scared, and that's the victim that they're after. That right. Scared, the one that hasn't noticed them, the one that's the head down, scared out the way, those sort of people. But somebody who's switched on and understands what they're doing, they're not going to fall into that victim state. So that Absolutely. Bad guy is going to avoid you because you're not an easy victim and go for the easy victim. Unfortunately, somebody else is going to get it. But
right.
Fortunately,
but not if they're students of ours. I've had countless testimonials from students. I have one who survived a home invasion. If they will take the time to study what we're teaching, it's not. I want to say it's not difficult. We teach pretty simple. We keep it. I always like to do it this way: make it so a third grader could understand it, but a rocket scientist would still love it. Right? Simplicity is the key. Even Bruce Lee. I fall back on Bruce Lee all the time. My main teacher was Dan Lee, who was Bruce Lee's first Chinatown student. So I'm forever. Bruce Lee is a part of my my philosophy, everything. And he said it comes down to simplicity. It's not a matter of adding more. It's a matter of peeling away the layers of the onion. And so we keep it simple and effective. It's not difficult, but people have to avail themselves of the knowledge. And that's the key. If they'll take the time to study it and then practice it, that light switch moment will happen.
Yeah, but I've got to interject on that simple thing. It's something that you make simple only because of the understanding of the subject, because the subject matter is huge and the depth of knowledge required is huge, but you present it in a way that's easy to understand. I think simple is doing yourself a disservice there, because I've seen your stuff, Scott, and it ain't simple. It's made easy to understand. It's a very difficult, complex subject, a massive subject that is, seriously, is made simple, easy to understand, but it ain't simple, is it?
Actually, that's a great distinction. It's not simple, but we make it easy to understand. The way to bridge the gap between imagination and application. Okay, we have imagination over here. We imagine things. And application is through practice. And in a violent crisis, we're not going to rise to our imagination. We're going to fall to our level of training and knowledge. So if we understand that, that's what we're going to fall to, our understanding. And so that's the key. And I try to make it accessible and easy to understand. Thank you for making that distinction. That's a good one.
The way I look at it is that it's because we have the same sort of thing on Pressure Point, Joe. We try to make it easy to understand and easy to apply, but it's actually quite a complex subject. And I think I'm going to just say it, the mind stuff, it can't get much more complex than the mind. Mm-hmm. And to have a subject that's so broad and so deep in what it is, your subject, well, one of your subjects, I should say. I'm going to ignore the martial arts side for a moment and just concentrate on that. It's such a huge subject, but you do make it very easy to understand. You've got people like me can actually understand what you're on about. That takes some doing.
Well, I think that's our job. That's our job, is to bring, because we have this area. For example, you understand pressure points. So if you're in a doctor's office and those charts where they show the human body, they show all the bones, they show all the nerves, they have all the names for it, and it takes 8 years to be a doctor, and you're like that when it comes to pressure points. You hit that point there, they're going to fall like a sack of potatoes. You hit that one there, they're going to piss their pants, right? So here's a knockout right here, boom. Knockout. And I've seen you in the room throw 250-pound Navy SEAL to throw him in the air like nothing. So you know this stuff, but for you to channel that down so that we'll call it the layperson, the layman, the one who's not a professional like you, can understand it. That's the key. We want to make it accessible. We want to make it understandable so they can grasp it and do it. Because once they do it, if you can't do it at will, then it's not a skill. And so I like to give people the ability to do it at will.
Yeah, because for those that don't know, Scott, to my mind, the way I look at it, it's principles that it gives you in not only in the martial arts, but I'm going to keep calling it mind stuff, Scott. But the mind stuff, there's a lot of principles in there that are applicable across the board. It's not situation specific. It's not saying that if you're walking down the street and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and then one person does this to you, you've got to use this type of awareness. It's not that specific. It's principles that you can, if you understand the principle, you can apply them throughout all areas of your life and all areas of your training. It's not, that's the bit I was trying to hope people can understand, that it's not so specific that they can't use it in anywhere other than just there.
In everyday life, whether it's on the street or in the office suite, whether it's at work or you're walking down an alley at night, whatever it might be, it's the same. Bruce Lee, and I actually think he was quoting someone else when he said this: once you understand the root, then you understand all of its blossoming. Right? So the root. So we say strike the root. If I want to kill that tree and I keep cutting off limbs, they're going to keep growing back. But when we strike the root, boom. Yeah.
Because I've seen quite a bit of your stuff, Scott, and when people are able to achieve outside of martial arts, I just want to concentrate on the mind stuff for a minute.
Yeah.
When people are able to achieve, things like, a better job, better lifestyle, change their relationships or whatever they're into, all of those things, lots and lots of different areas of life.
Yeah.
But the principles that you give them, they can apply in all of that. It's not that they have to, I've got to learn how to make money, so I've got to do this. Mm-hmm. I've got to learn this, and it'll take me years to learn this from Scott. No, it won't. It'll take you hours to learn, but you won't just learn how to make money. You learn how to apply that principle for lots of things.
Yes. Well, it's the same, for example, in our seminars. We have people coming up to us going, I learned more in these 2-3 days than I have in 3 years at a karate school, because we strike the root, we get to the point quickly and efficiently, not sloppily, but very efficiently and quickly. And it applies to all areas of life. And that's how I got into what I was doing. For example, I had a student come to me and he says, well, I can't come to your school because I don't have a car. And I said, well, you can go get a car if you want. Just go and let them sell you. They're car salesmen. So he did it. I said, just go and say yes and let them sell you. He drives the next night. He goes, look, here's my car. He says, I want to get a raise at work. What do I do? And I told him exactly how to get a raise. I said, say this. I said, I really like working here, but I'm just not making enough to get by. So I wanted to ask if you can give me a raise. Now, see what I just did there? I didn't say, can I have a raise? I didn't plead. And notice I kind of put the threat. I like working here, but it's a threat that I might need to go elsewhere. Right? Now, this guy's depending on me. If I leave, that's going to put him in a hole, isn't it? But just not making enough to get things by. So I wanted to ask you, you can give me a raise. See how I said that? You can give me a raise.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost impossible to say no, isn't it? So he did that. And his name is Jeff, by the way. I still know, it's been over 20 years. He's still my student to this day. So he did that. He got a raise. So all of a sudden, boom, car, boom, raise, all within a week.
Yeah.
Right? Then I told Jeff, I said, Jeff, if you bring in a student, this is back when I had my dojo, I said, for every student you bring in who signs up, you get a free month. I don't know if Jeff ever paid. He was bringing people in all the time. So do you see this expansion thinking? So here's a rule I want your people to remember. If you get nothing else from this, just write this down right now. energy flows where attention goes. Energy flows where attention goes. Okay? So we put his attention on what he can do, rather than looking at, oh, I don't make enough, I don't have a car, can I get a raise? And his attention would have been on, he might say no, right? Instead, you can, right? Energy flows where attention goes. That is why the goal of the attacker is to break your intention and put their intention as the dominating force. So Bruce Lee called it the broken rhythm method. In other words, there's a rhythm, right? Boom, boom, bam, right? We want to break that rhythm, right? I always say, how do you stop a moving train? Well, you don't stand in front of the train and say, halt. No, the train will run you over. So you run alongside the train. Now you're in harmony. You're actually matching its tempo. Then you jump on and you crawl up to the top and you can reach down and pull the brake or snap the conductor's neck, right? But the point is that's how you stop a moving train. You don't, and most people are thinking you stand in front and say halt. No, that's not the way. You harmonize and energy flows where attention goes. So you put your attention on how can I call it tactical intention.
Right. Yeah,
Am I making sense here, or I was just going, what?
No, it's making sense to me, and you know what I'm like.
Right.
But that thing is like, it's like a pattern interrupt as well, is it? It's the same sort of thing.
Pattern, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, what Russell is using is a term from NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, meaning nerve language programming. I'm an NLP trainer. I've been trained in NLP and hypnosis. And that's the thing, nerve language programming, because we're beings made of nerves and feelings and senses. So when we learn how to program them deliberately, so rather than everyone knows Pavlov's dogs, he ring the bell and they would salivate. So he would feed them and ring the bell, feed them and ring the bell, and then just ring the bell without feeding them and they would salivate. That is nerve language programming. So basically, I'm an anti-Pavlovian prophet, because I want people to program themselves for intention, for purpose, to get the result that they want, rather than being programmed by default, which 98% of the population is. They're programmed by default rather than by design. Because this programming is going to happen, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. It's going to happen. It's just it's like gravity. So rather than since it's going to happen anyway, why not do it by design to get the result we want rather than by default?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because we use the same sort of things, the pattern interrupts and the Pavlovian responses in martial arts stuff and self-defense. I don't know, you do anyway, but for self-defense stuff, and for, to knowing when to strike, when not to strike, or to get yourself ready to strike, because you can set up, just like silly little things like touching your own finger or whatever to get yourself ready. You know that you're going to do it.
Anchors, an anchor. Yeah.
To set an anchor, all those things. So all that stuff is all part of the martial arts training, but it's a side that so many instructors don't actually know or understand or even teach. Mm-hmm. But I know you do. But I'm saying it's like the mind stuff is such a huge part of your training, whether it's martial arts training or just mind stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's an integral part of your martial arts training, but it's a part that so often is missed. Now, I know you address it in where you do all of your teaching. I know that for a fact. I've been there. We've been there doing it together at seminar. Yeah. So, but for those who don't know, can you just give people an idea of how you incorporate it in the martial arts stuff for people as well, so that just so they get an idea of what they're going to get from you?
Do you mean in terms of how they would apply it to their physical martial arts? Yes,
yeah, and how you let them understand this is like we would say to somebody, just as a silly example, if you want to get yourself ready to hit somebody, create an anchor by lifting your heel up or something, so that that's the anchor that you set in your mind, that once my heel's up, I'm ready to go, or once I touch my finger there, I'm put my thumb on my finger, I'm ready to go. So the mind is right, ready, those sort of things, to give some people some little tips, ideas of how you.
Well, I think you just did it right there.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, actually, I remember this. So one thing is that we like I said, the busy mind will miss the green light, it will miss the opportunity, and it will also miss the red light, it will miss the warning. So we need to quiet the mind. When we quiet the mind, we're ready for anything at all times. My fighting stance is however I'm standing. I don't now I understand kata and the need for formality, for formal training, but kata is self-perfection. It's not self-preservation. Fighting is self-preservation. You don't fight. You may use a single technique out of your kata. A downward block. Some guy tries to kick me in the balls, right? Downward block, right? So downward block, blast to the nose, right? But and that may have been in my kata, but I'm not going to do the entire kata because that's a form, that's a pattern, right? But within, see, some people want to throw away kata. Well, that doesn't work for street fighting. Well, wait a minute. There's such a rich value in there because you're going to ingrain those techniques and you're going to learn self-mastery and self-perfection, which relates to self-preservation. So we want both. It's like yin and yang. We want self-perfection and self-preservation. A lot of the times the problem with many of the martial arts teachers is they're all about that self-perfection to the point, well, your foot is off a half inch. Well, in the meantime, I've slammed you in the face 3 times, right? Yeah. So I'll never forget, I met this guy who goes, we only hold the knife this way. And I go, really? I took his little knife, kept taking his knife from him. Really? So they get this dogma. They're like style loyalists. We want to use what works. And there's such an array. We want to learn, like you actually wrote a report about the different martial arts and their weaknesses and strengths, because they all have value. But if we're caught in the dogma, if we become style loyalists, we'll lose. For example, the BJJ fanatic, he'll say, 9 of all 10 fights end up on the ground. Really? Well, I've been in more than 10, and I can only think of 1 that ended up on the ground. So but it just becomes dogma. It becomes they become like religionists, right? Where they're spouting verse in scripture that's not real life application. That doesn't really happen. That may have been their experience, but usually not. So we want to be able to cover every range of combat. That's why I have complete combat, right? We have hitting, right? Kicking, trapping, which is grabbing, grappling, which is the ground, weapons, knife, stick, gun, and then mass attack. That's all 6 areas. And that's when you're at church during mass and you get attacked.
Yeah.
Right. Mass attack, which is 2 or more attackers. So if we have the knowledge to fight, to defend ourselves in every zone, then we're the complete fighter. And within each of those, you have pressure points, right? Yeah. Hitting, kicking. I've seen you do it. Trapping. I've seen you, choke people out or have a guy screaming in pain because he got his ankle. So within all of those is the pressure points, of course, because the pressure points are all over the human body. It's like a map of targets. That's why I hate hanging out with you, because you look at me and you see 270 different ways to cause me enormous debilitating pain.
The nicest possible way.
So the thing is, I'd say this is the key in mental warfare right here. Your emotional response transfers control to your attacker. Your emotional response transfers control to your attacker. So, for example, when I saw that thug in Seattle and I sensed it before he came around the corner, had I emotionally responded, all of a sudden, he's Pavlovianly trained to boom. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for that fear, that emotional response. He didn't get it. He got, how's it going, man? I got kissing close. So although he's bigger and stronger than me, I'm so close that I could tear his throat out. I could knee him in the balls. I could headbutt him. Right, I'm right there. I want to be miles away or kissing close. Yeah. In other words, I want to be so far away he can't touch me, or I want to be so close I can destroy him no matter how big or strong he is. But there's no emotional response. We need to learn to detach from emotional response. That is the key. That is self-mastery. When you master your emotions, because when you respond emotionally, you're giving your power away. So in martial arts, think about this. Take 2 boxers, right? They get together in the ring and there's the coach, or football players, they line up. And what are they doing when they get real close? Your mother's a whore. Well, they insult each other. Why? Why do they insult each other? Because they want to anger their opponent. because if my opponent is angry, he's emotionally responding and he's off balance. You ever make a mistake when you're pissed off and regret it?
Almost every
Well, I
time.
haven't, but I've heard other people have. Right? So that's the thing. They want to remember. I said the goal of the attacker is to break your intention and to assert their intention, and that's literally what they're doing instinctively when they line up in the ring. They get together. The coach is there. They look at each other. You little bitch. You know your mom blew me last night. Like, why do they do that? They insult each other to throw each other off emotionally. So when you get the guy out there who's like the Buddha, he's just totally calm and quiet, the quiet guy in the corner, that's the scary guy because he's in control of his emotions. He's going to be tactically objective. Write that down, folks. Tactically objective. So train yourself to not respond emotionally, whether it's to a competitor at work, a coworker, your mother-in-law. Next time the beauty of this is when you don't respond emotionally, it creates a reverse vacuum where they start freaking out because they're so used to you responding and getting upset and you don't, that they start freaking out. What's wrong? Why isn't he right? And this is all energetic. This is all energetically. I often would describe it this way. I would say, imagine, well, who's the hottie of the day? Back in the day, it was Pamela Anderson. Who's the hottest chick in the world today? Kim Kardashian? Okay, so imagine a movie set. There's a movie set. And Kim Kardashian is naked on a couch, stark naked on a couch in the movie set. And I'm a FedEx delivery guy. Now, most guys are, right? They're panting, they're drooling. Oh my God, right? They can't get their eyes off it. What if I just came almost disinterested? Kim, is there a Kim here? Oh, you. Hey, ma'am, here's a package for you. Totally disinterested and unaffected. What do you think is going to happen? Well, subconsciously and energetically, she's going to go, why isn't he drooling over me like every other guy? Right? Because that's what she's used to. Yeah. Right? That's her power. But all of a sudden she goes, what's different about him? Now she's coming to me. Does that make sense? So often, like in a bar, rather than, oh, can I buy you a drink? What's your sign? All that bullshit, which is pathetic. Instead, I'll go, so when are you going to buy me a drink? So when are you going to buy me a drink? Complete reversal. And it shocks them. One of two things will happen. They think you're rude and an asshole. Or they go, wow, what's different about him? Boom, all of a sudden they're interested in me. Right? So I'm using the analogy. I'm going kind of all over the place because all of life is martial arts. So when you see this, when you understand the root, you understand all of its blossoming. So I'm giving you the principle because it applies to every situation. Your emotional response transfers control away from you. So the opposite is also true. If your emotional response transfers control away from you, then if you contain your emotional response, it gives control back to you.
Yeah.
Boom.
People don't realize sometimes just how powerful that is. You know, I mean, if you take just simple little things that we used to do for our security guys and stuff like that, door work, bouncers and stuff, or just for anybody who's out in a bar or whatever, when you get the old person goes, what the heck are you looking at? Right? We used to turn it straight around. They say to me, what the F are you looking at? I go, you. What? I was looking at you. Did we used to work together? Or did you used to go out with my sister, or whatever it may be, but you instantly throw it back because they used to people go, I wasn't looking at anything. I wasn't looking at, sorry, I wasn't looking. And then they're immediately on you.
Right. Yeah.
They've broken your will. They've won.
Mm-hmm.
But when they say, what the F are you looking at? You. And that throws them. And it's worked beautifully for many, many people I've told it to, and for myself a couple of times. But that sort of thing, again, we called it pattern interrupt, and I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but
you are. You're using the exact term from NLP. Makes you wonder if you've been stealing some of my stuff.
Well, I have read some of it, Scott. You know that I do half inch the odd little bit from you. You know?
Likewise, mate. I learned from you as well.
But it's a great way to learn, isn't it? It's to look at what somebody else is doing and go, I like that. I'm going to use it.
That's it.
And those sort of things that like that pattern interrupt thing. I'm glad we're using the right terminology, but it's applicable in so many places. It's not just somebody saying, "What the F are you looking at?" You can use that same principle of the pattern interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Glad I can use the right phrase. Everywhere in everything that you're doing, you use this same pattern interrupt when you're saying, in a way, if you're saying, "When are you going to buy me a drink?" That messes their head up. It interrupts everything. And
Right.
you can use it in sports combat. You can use it in self-defense. You can use it in everyday life. And this is why I love what our stuff does, because I can look at what you're doing, read some of your stuff, and go, "That's the same principle as we use for pressure point stuff on that." Like interrupt and this and that. And there you go. I'd never thought of using it that way, but I can. And that's what, for me, well, for those who don't, that's why I think Scott's stuff is so valuable, is because you can look at it, read it, watch the DVDs, the downloads, whatever, and really get a huge, massive increase in your understanding, not only of the mind stuff, but how you can apply those same principles to your martial arts as well. It increases that with just by understanding the mind stuff. I'll keep saying mind stuff, it's easier.
Mind stuff. I love it. No, that's simplicity though. Boom. That's what we want. What we want.
And if people take the time to just read, watch, listen, and understand, because I know you give people lots of different ways of understanding. You've got written stuff, video stuff, and I know you've got some audio stuff as well, haven't you, that you have people they can listen to and while they're driving along and all that jazz.
Yeah.
It changes your world when you get into this properly. It changes your world, changes your life, changes everything, because it makes a huge difference. And not just on your martial arts, in your life, everywhere, everything that you do. And I think it's important that people understand that.
It is, because often when you take a person, say, for example, in the dojo, and they're perfect, you can see just the mastery level that they have of their martial art. But then they step out of the dojo and all of a sudden they become they become dumb, right? Yeah. Why not take that mastery out the door of the dojo and into the world? The world is my dojo. All of life is martial arts. All of life is warfare. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like a paranoid person thinking they're being attacked. Just life is war. That's just a fact. War is an acronym for "We Are Ready." So I love to practice the art of war in all of my life. In fact, think about this. Sun Tzu's Art of War is required reading. Every single world leader has it in their library. They even have it at West Point and the Pentagon, the Art of War, because these principles are timeless and they just work. They work in every area of life. And so we take it out of the dojo and into everywhere. And if you keep that martial mindset, I mean, I'm sure just about everyone watching this podcast is a martial artist, because you are the world authority on pressure points. And any martial artist knows that pressure points are key. So if you understand that the martial arts apply to all of life, and you take your martialism and your martial arts mentality, your martial mindset into the world, it's going to give you strength and power in every situation, right? And that's the thing. We want to carry that strength and power, because it's a part of it is punches and kicks. It's also the mental warfare aspect and the spiritual warfare. Every battle is really a spiritual battle. There's a fight between good and evil. There's a fight between principle, and the principles always apply. It's timeless. Technology changes, principles don't. Timeless fundamentals don't.
Yeah,
right? So
could not agree.
You can say all day long that there are 27 genders, but I'm sorry, there's two. There's XX chromosome, right, which is female, and XY, which is male. Now, I don't mind if you want to put on a dress and call yourself a woman, you can. That's your right. That's your personal freedom. However, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you or to myself. Right? No. You can even get a surgery. It's not going to change your chromosomes. Sorry, I didn't mean to get political there, but look at how warfare is being applied in every area of life. The goal of the attacker is to break your intention and assert their intention. Right? And that's the dominant force in the energetic field.
Yeah, I could not agree more with everything you've just said. And it's this thing of, like, when you equate it to things like sports combat, you throw a feint, misdirection, all of those things. And to me, what's going on in the world is massive misdirection everywhere.
Massive misdirection. Exactly. Exactly.
And people fall for it all the time. People fall for a feint. They fall for the card trick. They fall for the misdirection. Watch this hand, and this hand's doing something else. Whatever it may be, there's all of those tricks. They're played mentally on everybody all day, every day, with advertising, with the media, with the governments, with everything. Everything is mind games. And when you're armed with the knowledge that Scott gives you, you don't fall for those mind games. You understand them, and when you understand them, you can pick out the good from the bad, and the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, and the bull from the real, that. And I think that's an important thing that people need to understand, that the way it changes everything when they get your staff, their level of understanding goes through the roof, and it sometimes, in a way, what's the best way of putting it? Sometimes, in a way, they say ignorance is bliss, don't they?
Right.
And when somebody doesn't know, they don't know what they don't know, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But once they start to understand a little bit of what they don't know, then it really starts to matter. And that's the sort of person that, could be really messed up mentally, physically, whatever, with what do I do? But when they get your stuff, they then now know what they didn't know and learn so much more that they're then now aware of everything that they're doing and aware of all the surroundings and aware of all the other stuff. And I think it's really important that people get that, just how much they understand, just how much they're going to grow.
It's like a light switch. It's like a light switch coming on. It really is. Like I said before, once you understand the root, then you understand all of its blossoming. So you see the blossoming over here, you go, I know the root of that. I know the root of that.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to confuse. Who's the author? To use a biblical analogy, Satan is the author of confusion. You don't need to be a religious person. You can find truth anywhere. Bruce Lee said to mine for gold, right? So if I go down to the river and I take my little pan and I scoop up and there's a bunch of dirt and I pick out those gold nuggets, right? Absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. I'm quoting Bruce Lee there. And I call that mine for gold. The mine for gold. So you get the golden nuggets and you go, boom. It's like a light switch. I mean, I remember one I got from you at our last seminar was you had a rattle, like a shake, right? So rather than just turning them, you're like, you shake them and it was devastating. I remember just this one little tweak like that, boom, right? And I go, oh yeah, just start to rattle them and shake them a little bit, and it increases the power of the technique like 1,000%. So you just need that one little tweak, one little rocket fuel, if you will, to make all the difference.
Yeah, because when Scott and I have done seminars together, it's really great fun, because Scott will be teaching, whether it's physical martial arts stuff or mind stuff, right? But sometimes I'm sat there watching and I'm picking up stuff that, even though we might have done it before together, I then see it the second time and I see that there's layers to it. Like everything, there's layers. And the more you understand, the more you see there is to understand.
Mm-hmm.
I get a deeper level of understanding by watching you again and again. And and again, I've been sat there looking around the room while you're teaching stuff. I'll just say the mind stuff for now. Leave the martial arts to one side, because we know that you teach that. But the mind stuff, and you see, like you mentioned, light bulbs. You see people, there's sudden realization come on their face where they go, that's what. Or you just see it, and when I'm looking around, it just makes me smile as well. When you're explaining something, and you see these light bulb moments, it's like a light go all around the room, like bing, 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 bing. These people suddenly understanding it. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah,
that's what I need to do. And the change in those people over a weekend when we're there not just physically with the martial arts stuff and stuff like that we both teach, but the mind stuff. I'm going to keep calling it mind stuff. You see a growth in people, don't you, over a weekend?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I love that. That's probably the greatest reward in what we do, is to have students come back and say, hey, I used that and it worked. Oh my gosh. I defeated an attacker. I survived a home invasion. You know what? I found my soulmate of my dreams, or I got cast in a movie, or it worked and now my business is thriving. You get feedback like that all the time because and that's the greatest reward is, wow, it worked. I did it and it worked. I love that. I love that kind of feedback, because my job is empowerment. I want to empower people to succeed. I'm not in the business of weakness. I'm in the business of strength. And that's what I am providing, is strength and power. And listen to this. Years ago, I used to start my seminars, like, first thing I would say, right? You walk in, there's 20, 30 people in the room. I say, how many of you want less freedom? Raise your hand. And nobody raised their hand. And I said, well, if you voted Democrat, you raised your hand. Not to get political, but the idea, it's a principle, and it doesn't matter. There are rhinos, trust me, there are rhinos out there too, okay? And wherever you are in the world, the bottom line is this: it always comes down to, do I want more freedom or less freedom? That's just the question. That's the litmus. I don't care what political party, just, are you going to try to take my freedom, or are you trying to give me more freedom? That's it. That's the principle. That's it. And so likewise, with the mind, with empowerment, with liberation. For example, when I opened my dojo 20 years ago, it was just 2 doors down from, I think it was a Taekwondo school. And I'm teaching Jeet Kune Do and combatives, a beltless system, totally different. And someone said, well, don't you think that would, hurt the other school or compete? I said, are you kidding? If you have a Chinese food restaurant next to a Mexican food restaurant, they're not competing. I said, let's make this a martial arts mecca. Hell, I want 5 different schools here, right? And so people would come, guys would come to me, hey, I'm working on my brown belt in Taekwondo. I'm competing in this, forms and that. I don't know how many students I sent that guy, but he wouldn't. We had one common student. His name was Ryan. I'll never forget Ryan, my little Jeet Kune Do buddy. I loved Ryan. So that guy told him, you can't study at a different dojo. I would tell my students, please go out and study at any school you want, and bring it back to the fight club, bring it back to the crucible, right? And let's see if it works, great, we'll use it. If it doesn't, we'll have learned something, right? So I was very open. I didn't say, you can't study anywhere else. This guy did though, but Ryan said, no. He says, I'm going to go because I want to learn Jeet Kune Do. And if you don't like it, fine. So he didn't fire Ryan, but Ryan would tell me all the time how that guy would be pissed, and he kept contracting. Fear is contraction. Courage is expansion. So I had the courage of what I was teaching. I said, no problem. You study at any school you want. You're not a slave here. This is not imprisonment. It's not me and no one else. Go learn. And so my school would thrive on word of mouth. The other guy eventually went out of business, not because of me, but because of his contraction. I actually sent him students. I can't count how many would come in. I'm looking for a belt system. I'm competing in a Taekwondo tournament. I don't do Taekwondo forms. I don't teach Taekwondo. This guy down 2 doors down does. I hear he's pretty good, right? Yeah. But when we fear, we contract. When we have courage, when we have confidence, we expand.
I couldn't agree more.
I don't know
when
why.
I've sent people to other schools, and the same sort of thing. They say, oh, you should go and train with him, and I just let them carry on saying it. They shouldn't come and train with me. And when they're looking for whatever, and we don't do it, I send them down there. I go. I've heard he's a great guy. You should go down there and train with him. Mm-hmm. No, I sent you down if you want, but they never reciprocated. It's funny how people are like that. You're so right, that contraction thing. And I know for a fact that several of them went out of business and stuff like that. Again, not for anything of us, but that contraction thing that you're on about. And it applies in all walks, doesn't it? All walks of life. Those people who are so frightened of other people, if you like, or
right,
they contract, and then they end up contracting themselves, and they can't grow.
Right.
In everything. Relationships, life, work, everything. Mm-hmm. And also in your martial arts, if you're that kind of person in your martial arts, well, my martial art, well, I've lost count of the amount of people would say, oh, this is, a way to hit harder or whatever. And they go, oh, yeah, well, we do it like this in our system, but you don't hit as hard. Yeah, but so they contract back, and then they don't learn how to hit harder.
Right.
And you've just lost an opportunity. I mean, we've seen it a couple of times at seminars, haven't we, where somebody is so, I always call it up their own arse, that they can't allow themselves to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, as the weekend goes on, it sort of dawns on them, hold on a minute, I've got a lot to learn because everybody else is improving and I haven't done anything. Mm-hmm. And then eventually they understand and they sort of like let the barriers down a bit, stop, right, and then they open up and they're okay. But had they done it from the minute they walked in, they'd have actually learned a lot more over the weekend rather than just on a day and a half or a day or whatever it would be.
Right. It's because they're so clinging to the style, kind of like we're programming. Well, human beings are like computers. Okay, computers are programmed by programming language. So a computer is programmed, and likewise, we are programmed by language. So when we're young, we're brought up, and our parents have to tell us, don't touch the hot stove, don't run with the scissors. Right? We need that. But eventually we grow and become into our own. And that's the goal, of course. The goal as a teacher is not for my student to follow me for the rest of their life. It's to learn from me and grow. And so we're programmed by programming language. And a lot of people don't understand that they can learn and expand beyond what they've been programmed with. I want to learn more. I don't want, my goal is not to limit my student. My goal is for my student to expand, to reach their goal and to reach their potential, which is unlimited. Science has proven we've barely tapped into our potential, to the potential of the human brain. Barely tapped into it. And there are really only three kinds of teachers. You have technicians, and they're going to tell you, oh, your hand needs to be here. Oh, your foot is a half inch off. They're going to tie you up all day long, technically, to where you're scared to even move, right? Then you have fighters, and they'll kick your ass. They'll beat the hell out of you, and you go, wow, how did you do that? But you never learn how. They'll just be their big ego of how good they fight, and they're fighters, not really teachers. Then you have a mentor, people like you, who will actually take people step by step on the path to break it down, to show them how, because the goal isn't about how awesome I am as the guru, right? Or the fighter or the technician. You don't want to tie people up. There are a few fundamentals, but that's it. I don't care if your foot is a half inch off. I don't care. I just want the result. That's it. Boom. You hit that point, you hit that pressure point, you did it. Guess what? Your left arm shouldn't have been over here, but I don't care because boom, right? You nailed it, right? So there are technicians, there are fighters, and there are mentors. And you want a teacher who's a mentor. Who no one can take you where they haven't been. I appreciate a fighter who can fight real good. That doesn't mean he can teach it. Or a technician, that's the worst kind. I really don't like that because they tie people up so they get into a fight and the guy is thinking about, is my foot in the right place? Is my hand and my hip in the right place? Boom, boom, boom.
The attacker's not standing exactly right for me.
You didn't hit me right. Right. So the technician is the worst because he really ties people up and slows them down. I want you to respond instinctively. Like Bruce Lee said, if I throw you the ball and you catch it, that's like in a fight. A punch comes in, boom. Right? I parried and slam, right?
I had one with a boxing coach. There's me and this other guy boxing coaching. And this lad goes out, bang, and he's knocked this other guy out. Knocked him out first round. The technician type coach, that was not a very good punch. I said, he's unconscious. Yeah, but he wasn't, he's unconscious. It was a brilliant punch. I don't care what it looked like. He knocked him.
My opponent's on the floor. It doesn't have to be pretty. And the real fights, because naturally in Hollywood, we need these spinning, flying kicks. Yeah. We need beauty because that's entertainment. And there is a certain beauty to when you see a Shaolin guy doing his stuff. That's beautiful. That's great. But we know in the real fight, it's gross motor movements. It's not fine motor movements. And in Jeet Kune Do, we say economy of motion, meaning nearest weapon to the nearest target. Why should I take this foot? I'm 6'2". Why should I take this foot all the way 6 feet up to your head, because you're 6 feet too also. So all this foot is going to travel 6 feet. That's a long way. Why not just headbutt, elbow, done, right? Economy of motion. It's efficient, and that's how real fights are. One of the best movies where I saw fighting was it was called The Substitute, a substitute teacher, Tom Berenger. And I told my wife, I said, that's actually how real fighting goes, because it was like there was no flying, spinning kicks, which is great. I love that stuff too. But the real thing is a lot different. It's not pretty. It's not.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But that thing that you just mentioned, then, that economy of movement, economy of motion. Again, it can be applied. It's not just in strikes like you just mentioned. You'd have economy of motion in your locks, in your takedowns, in your throws, in your distance, your timing, your angulation, in the way you converse. Even all of that economy of motion is applicable everywhere. And this is an important point that I think people need to understand, is that these principles that you teach and that I teach, and that they're applicable in so many areas. And I want people to really open their mind to that, because when it comes from the physical to the mind stuff, they've got to really understand that these principles that they're given apply in so many places. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so valuable, is that it's not just economy of motion. I nutted him, or I punched him quick. It was, well, I got myself in a position where I could use economy of motion as well, because that was economy of motion to get to the place where I could hit with economy of motion. And my mind was working with the economy of motion. So I had my mind was right. So I blotted out all the crap that I don't need and used what I did need to get to converse with the guy, to pat and interrupt him or whatever, to make sure that I could get to the place where I could hit him easily and do all of these economy of motion things in everything. Mm-hmm. I really want people to understand that that's there for them, Scott. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of life is war and all of life is martial arts. I define a warrior. You think a warrior, well, a soldier, a cop, and yes, there are warriors, but the fundamental definition of a warrior, according to Scott Bolan, is one who fights for their own self-mastery. Think about that. One who fights for their own self-mastery. That's what a cop does. That's what a soldier does. So I have to master myself. As a soldier or a cop, when I'm fighting a bad guy, that bad guy is trying to master me, right? But I'm fighting for my own self-mastery. And so that's in every area of life. I want to self-master my body, my fitness, right? I want to self-master my finances. I want my relationships to be harmonious and perfect. In other words, mastered. So we are either the object or the subject. So I want to make sure that in every area of life, I'm self-mastered. A warrior is one who fights for their own self-mastery. And I further define fight as harnessing and directing energy. Now, everything is made of energy. The chair you're sitting, everything. You could light the chair on fire and you'd watch the energy burn up into ash, right? So when we harness and direct energy, so if an attacker comes out to punch me, I'm going to harness and direct his energy to keep my own self-mastery. And it could be in any area of life, harnessing and directing energy. Energy flows where attention goes. I'm going to put my attention with intention. What is my intention? What is my goal? What is my purpose? What is my outcome? And that keeps me focused and keeps me like laser focused. Remember, the successful guy is the regular guy with laser focus. So a warrior is one who fights for their own self-mastery, meaning a warrior is one who harnesses and directs energy for their own self-mastery. And energy flows where attention goes. These are timeless principles. And it just works. That was a lot, though. I kind of machine gunned you.
Yeah, but these things are applicable everywhere. I mean, you've just given out a shed load of information that, I mean, just
I always like to over deliver.
Yeah, I know. Well, every time we've done seminars, people have sat there, their heads have just gone,
yeah,
with all the info that they've had. They're just saying, I can't. Well, like I think you mentioned earlier, they can't believe that they got this much information in a couple of days. It's more than the last 20, 30 years of whatever they've been doing. Mm-hmm. And it's delivered in a couple of days. But we've seen it ourselves, after day one, sometimes we go for dinner somewhere and people are like, Their eyes wide.
Yeah, you're like, oh, now it all makes sense. So whatever you're doing, whatever martial arts you've studied, whatever your journey has been, is not a waste. It's building a foundation. Now this brings it all together. I like to call it rocket fuel. Let's add some rocket fuel. My boys used to race the mini carts. If anyone remembers the movie Iron Man 3, it started in Italy where they're doing these mini carts, these little cars, and they go like 80 miles per hour. I mean, my boys are like 8 and 10. They're going 80 miles per hour in these little cars. And they used to, during the races, they would stop and test your fuel to make sure that you weren't cheating by adding what we call rocket fuel, right? To make sure no one was cheating, right? Like steroids for the gas tank. And so I like to call what we're doing rocket fuel. We want to bring together everything you're doing so that you get that rocket fuel moment where you, boom, oh, I'm winning. I'm applying this in every area of life. Matter of fact, I was thinking, what would be the best thing that I could offer your people, your pressure point students? And in my mind, I'm going, because I've done all these seminars and courses, that ultimately it comes down to dynamic power. So the dynamic power method. So what I want to have your people do, if they go to dynamicpowermethod.com, that was a seminar I did. It's 10 DVDs, modern day ninja teachings. Yes, real modern day ninja teachings. The word ninja, what does that mean? Well, you actually get down to the root meaning of the word. It means enduring person, one who endures. That means one who wins, right? That's the goal. And that's what they did. It wasn't just, I mean, you look at a cheesy ninja movie and a guy in black pajamas. That's not what it's about. The ninja, he would do that if he needed to go in the black of night to break into a castle. But he might be wearing shorts and a t-shirt and sandals. It's someone who blends in. So you can't see them. They're hiding in plain sight, or they're standing out for a tactical purpose. Maybe it's to get a raise at work or get the girl of their dreams, right? So it's that tactical person. It's one who endures. So I want them to have those teachings. So if they go to dynamicpowermethod.com and put in your name, Russell, in the coupon code, we'll give them 2/3 off.
Wow.
Making it dirt cheap, right?
Thank you, Scott.
So that's what I like to do for them. And I know you have a number of the courses. I have yours as well. School is never out for the pro. We're always learning. We're always learning.
Yeah, always. I mean, I've lost count of the amount of times I've just looked at some of your stuff, and you just, it's those sort of things where you go, of course.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
Well, and it's knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And so people say, well, Scott, why is your DVD set a couple $100? I say, well, look, I don't have the budget of Paramount Pictures. This is not a Will Smith movie, multi-million-dollar production. We can go out and do DVDs for $20, right? Or pay $15 to go see it on theater. That's entertainment, and I love that. I love being entertained. This is not entertainment. This is information that we have studied and toiled for 30 or more years to learn, so that you don't have to study 20 or 30 years. So that we can give it to you, boom, because you don't need to learn through our mistakes, through our blood, sweat, and tears. You get the benefit of all of that, of all those years of training.
I often say this to people, you know, they go, oh, you know, $100, $200, that's a lot of money. You go, yeah. Do you smoke? Oh, yeah. How much do you smoke? Well, 10, 15 cigarettes a day. You mean a packet a day? Yeah. All right. So that's $300 a month you're spending on killing yourself.
Right. About $4,000 a year.
Yeah. You won't spend a couple of $100 on making your life 10 times better.
Right. Which is a couple of nice dinners out with the wife or girlfriend. A couple of nice dinners out. Information that can change your life. I would say if you just get one idea, mind for goal. If you get one idea, that can change your life forever. Matter of fact, let me give you people something right now who may be challenged financially. If you were to take Monday through Friday, that's 5 days a week, and let's say you just quieted the mind for 10 minutes and you took a pen and paper and you wrote down, brainstorm 5 different ways that you could make money. Okay, 5 different ways. You just thought them out, write them out. Matter of fact, in the dynamic power method, you're going to see a guy there, a financial advisor, show you how to make $100,000 a year dog walking dogs. Okay. I'm dead serious. He's a client of mine, a student of mine. And I got up, his name is Gene. I said, Gene, just go ahead and talk for 20 minutes. Boom. He said, I'm going to show you how to make $100,000 a year walking dog. And he did. And it's undeniable. It works. So if you write down 5 ideas a day of how you can make money, how many ideas would you have at the end of a 5-day work week? 25 ideas. In a month, there are 4 work weeks. So 25 times 4, how many ideas would you have? 100. And you'll be really scratching the barrel, right? Coming up, we're brainstorming these ideas. 100 ideas in a month. Now, out of that 100, let's say you got just one of those ideas worked. Boom, you're golden, right? That's all it takes. So the information that we provide, and yeah, we have to charge for it because we're not Paramount Studios, and I can't count, and I'm sure you can't count the dollars you've invested in your trainings worldwide. I've flown the world and trained with the best of the best. We're on magazine covers to make sure that I was getting the very best, and so we've dedicated our lives to this, to give this information that can change people's lives. And all you need is just one idea can change your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I've met people that have had their lives changed from your mind stuff, right? And
Thank you.
It's there. It's, like you say, it's irrefutable. They completely changed their lives. And it's not just a monetary thing. Some people are not bothered about the monetary side of stuff. They just want to change what they're doing. Maybe they've had bad habits or
right.
something like that, and they completely changed. I don't know anybody's name, so it's not fair without asking them first. But I've met people who've gone from being pretty bad in what they're doing and turning the life around to not doing any of those bad things anymore, and to them just having a regular job and being clean is a huge achievement.
Sure. Wherever it's called level up, go to the next level. So we have people from all walks of life. I mean, we have multi-millionaire clients, money's not even a consideration, to people who work at Walmart. We have people from all walks of life. Wherever you are, you can level up, you can go to the next level. It's not just about money. It's not just about fitness or fame or anything. It is about maximizing your potential, because that's why we are here. We are here to learn and grow. If you're not learning, if you're not growing, you're stagnating. I believe the human body is about 68% water. And what is water when it stagnates? You go to a pond and you go to a puddle and it stagnates, it gets mosquitoes. But flowing water, that's the clean water. We're here to move and grow and learn. And that's what we must be doing, is learning and growing. If you're not learning and growing, you're stagnating. So as a warrior, we must fight for our own self-mastery, and that includes learning and growing. So, and that's what you do as well. And I love just one little tweak. I mean, the difference between hot water, which will give you a cup of coffee, and boiling water, which can propel a steamship across the ocean, is 1 degree. 1 degree difference. So like those tweaks you teach in the pressure point, like that 1 degree, that shaking, that rattling, I'm like, oh, I love this. And I use it on a sparring partner probably a week later. He's like, whoa, what did you do to me? He was terrified. I go, this is the brain rattle. This is the shake that Russell taught me. I just had a little shake to it. Just that 1 degree difference can make all the difference in everything you're doing. So again, I want to tell you, I don't know if you can put on the screen, dynamicpowermethod.com. Put in Russell, we'll knock 2/3 off. I think that would be one that any of your thinkers out there, all of us, everyone, you and I are martial artists. We love the physical, but if you want the mental side, I think that would be the best one for you. I've got 30, 40 courses. I was really thinking on that, the best one for your people.
I think we can put that on there, can we? The dynamic power method. We should have that.
Oh, look at that. Boom. Instant.
So we'll leave that there for people just in case they need. So it's dynamicpowermethod.com.
Yeah, and put in Russell for the 2/3 discount. So basically, we're doing it at cost just so you can get it. It's digital, or I'm going to make sure that they get it for it's normal. Our normal prices are like $6.95, $7. I'm going to make sure they get it for $100. So I'll have Steve log in and make a coupon. So whatever the price is, they get it for like $97.
Great. And we'll also put a link in the description as well, just in case and stuff like that. So that there's no, and the coupon code is RUSSELL, 2 S's, 2 L's in Russell. I don't know, I'll put it up there with that. So
Awesome. No one make it. So basically, for the price of a dinner, a nice dinner with their wife or girlfriend, they're going to get life-changing materials. There's about $1,000 in bonus materials as well too. So they're going to get the full 10 DVD course plus the bonus materials.
yeah, and I mean, I got to say, when we've done seminars together, there's people there. I know for a fact there was people there who were sponsored by yourself to go there, because that's another thing that Scott's like, sponsored a couple of people to go there, and there was multimillionaire there.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's, from, monetary wise, from the people who've got literally nothing, right the way through to multi-millionaires. At the same weekend seminar that we did, I remember one of them, where you had that range of people there, and every single person, without exception, greatly benefited, not just from the martial arts stuff that we taught, but from the mind stuff as well.
Right.
The big thing that I wanted people to understand, that it didn't just do mind stuff. It helped with their martial arts as well.
Yes.
Important, but it, from the guy with literally zero, the couple of guys you sponsored, you paid for him to be there. At the goodness of your own heart. People don't know this about Scott. I'll tell the truth about him. Yeah, right. The multi-millionaire guy, and they're all getting the same information, and they're understanding it at different levels, but it's still helping them.
Yes, and everyone's coming together as brothers. And I want to point this out right now before we go. The martial arts unifies people. See, people who try to divide us by race, all these people try to divide us. But what I see in the martial arts, you have people from every economic background, every racial background, men, women, black, white, rich, poor, all coming together and working as brothers and sisters for self-empowerment and self-development. The martial arts is a unifier. I feel it should be taught in schools. I think Chuck Norris actually tried to get it. I think it was called the Kickstart or something like that. He actually tried to get it in schools. Why not teach strength? Instead of handing out pills, instead of hypersexuality, how about showing self-mastery and strength? Imagine that. And self-defense. You know how many suicides come from bullying? But you teach some good martial arts, the kid's not going to be bullied. He's not going to get hit. He's going to be like, shh, don't touch me. All right? And so bully buster, bully stop programs, martial arts should be taught in schools, because it not only does it give self-empowerment and strength and confidence, it also unifies. It brings people together. I see people from every political background. All that stuff is left at the door, because we're all in there working on ourselves, helping each other become better.
Yeah. And the martial arts will probably stop that bully from being a bully.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. Because they soon get what we call an attitude adjustment class in the martial arts. They stop being a bully somehow. It's amazing. But
yes.
You're right. I mean, I've been to huge martial arts seminars where there's like 300, 400, 500 of us there. Mm-hmm. And from all walks of life, from all different martial arts, and everybody getting on because they love martial arts. Everybody getting on. You go to football, you know it is soccer. You go to a football place and there's 300 or 400 people from different football clubs. Mm-hmm. Riots. It's on. It's mass brawl time. You go to a kids' school football match, soccer match. The parents will be fighting each other.
Right, you got the moms choking each other, right.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yet martial arts, where you train to fight non-stop, most peaceful, happy, nice people you could ever wish to meet. Yeah, that's one of the things I love about martial arts. But I just wanted people to understand that because people don't get sometimes how good Scott's been to people, not just in the information he gives, but what he's done for people outside of it. And he won't ever talk about it. But that Dynamic Power Matters up there. Also, scottbolan.com, I think, is the main one to get hold of. And I think that's where they've got the more advanced programs that they can get there.
Everything's there. Yeah. And they can get a free download as well. How to Become a Warrior and Kick Ass in Life. a little 50-minute download that literally shows you how to become a warrior and kick ass in life.
Yeah, it does what it says. and you know, I urge you, everyone who's watching, listening, get hold of Scott's stuff, because it is life changing, and you can add it to it. Whatever you want to achieve, you can achieve it, and this will help you. I mean, dramatically. You'll cut the time scale down dramatically. Some people like to do things on their own. I've always been a stubborn git and tried to do stuff on my own. But I'm telling you, you know, if I'd had this stuff years ago, I'd have advanced so much quicker.
That's what everyone tells me. They go, "Why didn't I find you years ago?" I say, "Wait a minute. We only have right now. You're here now. You found it now. Let's go." Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because I don't care if you're 18 or 80. You have right now. You master the moment. You master all of life. Life is made of moments. So if we drive down the road and we are staring in the rearview mirror, we're going to crash. And if we drive down the road and we're staring too far ahead, we're going to crash. We have to be in the present, in the moment. That's all that matters. Life is made of moments. So master the moment, and you will master life. We have right now. We have right now. So you're here.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's the way it is. And you know, for people who don't know of Scott, get his stuff. People who don't know of Scott, get his stuff. Right? It really is that simple. You know, I couldn't say more. Scott, we come to the end of time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. An absolute pleasure.
Your pleasure's all mine.
As they say, right?
It's going to do a little outro thing now, Scott. So I'll just shut up and say thanks again. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys and gals. Remember to tell everyone to join in next time to the Old Fat Coach.